ain't been to Minnesota in probably 20 years.
Bring gas. Welcome to Flagrant Howls, a Minnesota Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.
All right, sending you into the weekend here, Wolves fans. Big weekend. Big weekend at Target Center. You got tonight is an NBA Cup game, right? So we have the obnoxious lime green court tonight.
I think so.
I think.
Yeah, it's an NBA Cup game, so I think we get the lime greener.
But Saturday we get the Prince Court, which looks badass.
Oh, that's right.
You guys have seen that,
Denver
right?
in town.
That looks awesome.
I'd
that
love to
looks
see
really
that
cool.
floor in person. This is, and by the way, I hope that these Prince jerseys stay now.
Yeah, they're pretty sweet.
But the Wolves,
Pretty
I
cool.
saw, didn't they? Aren't they among the teams that have now informed the league that they will be changing their primary jerseys next season?
Yeah, or I saw that on social too. I think
yeah.
that was real.
Yeah.
But you never know sometimes on social
That's true.
media. You know.
That's true.
One thing you do know is that North American Banking Company, before we get to some Feedback Friday questions and comments and takes, is a place that you can rely on for a better banking experience, based in Minnesota since 1998, 6 locations in the Twin Cities. I was actually at their Roseville location earlier this week. They were helping me with a business account. And it's great because I could sit down with an actual human. Marissa, it was great. She helped. I didn't have to go through a bajillion prompts on a phone. I could talk to someone very trustworthy. And that's what you get. You get friendly, knowledgeable people that take the time to get to learn about you, who you are, what your goals are, and then the safety and security of accounts. nabankcode.com/Mackey to learn more. That's nabankcode.com/Mackey. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. You can always send in Flagrant Howls related questions either in the YouTube comment section. We're almost to 7,000 subs, by the way. Click that subscribe button if you are a Wolves fan and the like button if you enjoy this episode. You can hit us up the feedback tab in the Score North app as well. So let's start with Lucas Kofel, who says, with Nico Harrison out in Dallas, the beleaguered head of the Dallas Mavericks front office, who traded away Luka Doncic in the night to the Lakers. Any thoughts on exploring a move for any of Dallas's players? Kyrie, Anthony Davis, Gafford, Lively. I think Kyrie and Davis are probably not worth the squeeze. He says Gafford and Lively, the two bigs, are interesting, though. Both are 75 to 80% Gobert replacements. Neither probably makes us better right now, but they have much better contracts and flexibility. Real quick, Lively's 21 and on a rookie scale deal. They're even if they start trading some veterans because they're just kind of screwed this year.
Yep.
They'll probably want to keep Lively and Cooper Flagg together going forward because they don't have draft picks, man. They're gonna have to recoup first round picks from all the other moves they made. So I think he's probably out the table. I don't see any way in which the Wolves would trade for Kyrie and or Anthony Davis because it would kind of blow up the entire structure of your team as currently. But I wouldn't put it past Tim Connelly to do something crazy. Gafford is a really good 27-year-old rim-running center. I mean, we saw him in the Western Conference Finals a couple years ago.
Yes.
He costs about half of what Rudy Gobert does, and it'd be a nice little addition there. If you could, but you'd probably have to get rid of Gobert. I don't know how that would work. But I see off of this comment from Lucas, I think there's two bigger questions. Number one, have we ever seen a GM flameout like Nico Harrison in any sport? And B, how lucky are we to have Tim Connelly and that front office, Matt Lloyd, running something in a competent way? They'll make big moves, but they're very thoughtful and methodical about the way they go about things. What a disaster, man.
So the Mavericks are now in the bottom 5, almost certainly, of the entire league in ownership. So Mark Cuban, the whole story is really weird. He wanted to remain more involved, but then he tried to put in some type of clause into the sales agreement, but the league's like, no, you can't. And so he's been pushed out. Now he got how much to be pushed out, so I don't feel bad for him. But this whole thing, and don't get me wrong, Nico wasn't good at Nico's job, but this whole thing, because you don't trade Luka without it coming from the top as well. So, yeah, I mean, the Mavericks have turned into a vintage old school Timberwolves dumpster fire.
Yeah. It's so bad.
You're right.
And how does, to your point, okay, it's not ideal that you have a GM that concocts this. You literally have a generational superstar, even if he's a little out of shape and doesn't play defense. Okay, like those are absolutely credible things to poke at with Luka. If you're going to trade him, that should be a top-down organizational strategic decision where you take into account everything, the business aspect, the fans' reaction, the basketball side of it, the leverage of getting a bidding war started so you can get the best possible thing for him, right? And like none of those things were taken into consideration. So even though the general manager should have the wherewithal to not do what he did, the ownership above and around him, how are you allowing that to happen?
Correct.
And I feel like these are all things that we struggle with through various iterations of Glenn Taylor ownership with the Timberwolves, different forms of incompetence. But how did that happen? How did you get to that conclusion? How could this possibly? It all stems from bad ownership.
But at least KG, for instance, was traded in the offseason, right? Like the thing with, I understand Luka was about to get paid. He's been out of shape. He's probably a malcontent of sorts as well, but he's a great player. How do you decide, like what I don't get is, all right, it's bad enough that the ownership probably said trade him. Okay, that's bad. But then Nico goes and like immediately just trades him. And that's what I don't get. Like, how do you not say, okay, we might trade him, but let's slow play this, right? Let's make it a June trade. We'll shop him around. Like, as I recall correctly, McHale was weighing offers for KG, right? Like, it's not like he's like, oh my God, I'm just going to call my former team, the Celtics, and trade this dude. So the whole thing top down is one of the most like mysterious. It's almost worth like a book about how to destroy a franchise.
Yeah, it is. And if you're the Timberwolves right now with Connelly, Matt Lloyd, etc., even Chris Finch. I mean, there's some things that kind of drive you nuts once in a while about Finchy, but I mean for the most part, he's been one of the 10 best coaches in the NBA since he took over. And back-to-back Western Conference Finals. He's had to take a couple different iterations of superstars and rosters and gel them together over a season or two. All of it collectively, even ownership now, I think with Laurie Arod, we'll see long-term with those guys. But the structure, the backbone structure leadership of the Timberwolves is in the best place it's probably ever been in the history of the franchise relative to the rest of the league.
I personally feel there's far more unknowns and far more questions about the Timberwolves, what they're going to do or what they're doing business-wise. I feel like the basketball operations is in fantastic shape.
Yep, because they've shaken everything up on the business side. Saying goodbye to Glenn Taylor loyalists, but replacing now new CEO, and there's just a bunch of changeover, and then the arena thing on the horizon. There's been some complaints about ticket prices being too high and the percentage of capacity not being great inside. There's definitely things to be figured
business
out there,
things, though, but not like on court things where it's like Tim Connelly's and what's he doing? He has not done that.
Yep. Okay, 50 Diggs chimes in the Flagrant Howls YouTube comment section, and this feels like a Judd burner account here with this comment.
I know I'm burning.
It starts with, "Hey, the Wolves this is the best Wolves team ever," is what he says. But beware. Problem is, Oklahoma City is in the beginning stages of a dynasty right now. They're on pace for like 74 wins, and they're going to get one of their best players, second best player back at some point. Big picture here. Should we be concerned, alarmed, if you will, about the Anthony Edwards era running into the dynasty era of the Oklahoma City Thunder over the next 5 years?
So, in other words, should we be concerned that this is going to be a little bit, although they were in different conferences, but championships they met, the Wolves being the Utah Jazz to like OKC's Chicago Bulls? No, I would not say that, because here's why. You should want this. You need to go through. You need to go through the bully. You need to go through the champion.
Slay the dragon.
And yeah, exactly right. Don't say that. It didn't work out last time with the Twins and Yankees. But anyway, no, I don't think that you should be concerned, because if you're building greatness, you should want to take greatness on. I guess the question is, would you prefer that everyone else around you be about as good as you, or just not good, right? I think this is somewhat exciting. Yeah, I think this is exciting. I think this is an opportunity. If you were to ask Ant right now, with Ant's competitive fuel and fire driving him, hey, do you wish OKC wasn't so good so that you had a simpler path? I think he'd say, hell no.
Well,
I want to go through them. Bring them on.
I think there's like two different ways to look at it. There's the way you're looking at it is like, that's a great story. And yeah, like you bring on the best competition and
Yep.
go slay the dragon, go through them. And I am excited to watch the Wolves try to do this year and in future years. But the other way to look at it is, if your goal is to win a championship, does Oklahoma City make it a lot harder in the next 5 years?
Sure.
Yes. So Oklahoma City has played 14 players so far this year, including garbage time. 14. So basically their entire rotation or their entire roster has played at least, a few minutes. Alex Caruso is their oldest player at 31. You care to guess how old Oklahoma City's second oldest player is that's played a minute this season?
24.
It's 27, but
28, yeah.
it's like
25.
SGA 27,
Yeah.
Lou Dort 26, Chet 23, Hartenstein 27, Cason Wallace 22.
Sure.
So they're not. You could argue that the Nuggets, well, Jokic is like 30 or 31, and you won't have to really deal with him as much at that level in 3 years from now. But you absolutely will be dealing with these guys 3 years from now.
I think Ant is a championship leader and player. And so I think, look, if this team was just nice and they didn't have a superstar, I'd be like, okay, that's too bad. You ain't going to beat them. I am looking forward to seeing Ant try to tackle this. I really am. And there's a lot of teams in this town who I don't think have that guy. In Justin Jefferson's case, I think he could be, but he's a receiver, so he can't control it when the ball comes to him consistently. But I think that this sets up as an opportunity where I have a lot of confidence in the premier player and the team around him. Yeah. I want to see this. I want to see this, and I believe the Wolves can do it.
And the NBA is built on, like, great rivalries and maybe the second best team not getting over the hump. Like, I think of pre-injuries like Derrick Rose and those Bulls teams not being able to get through the Cavs. I think of, when I was growing up, or my formidable years of being a basketball fan, those Sacramento Kings teams running into the Lakers. I mean, those, and there was maybe a situation with a referee there that made things interesting. But regardless, those Kings teams were loaded, man, and they just could not get past the Lakers and the Spurs. So there's always going to be this. But yeah, to Phil's point, it does make it incredibly difficult, obviously, to slay that dragon.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch them try. I do agree. Anthony Edwards feels like he's going to win a championship in his career. Mm-hmm. You hope that it is with the Timberwolves sooner than later. Moving along on the feedback front here, we had a lot of people comment just on our Julius Randle, Anthony Edwards. My hot take from the Hottest Takes episode is that that's the best duo in Timberwolves history. They've gotten better this year. It's only 11 games, but a lot of feedback on this. A lot of people are really starting to come around on Julius Randle, which is fascinating because I think if you would have polled Wolves fans in like January of 2025, do you want him to be traded? People would have said, hey, all due respect to him and his family, whatever. Like, we don't really know him that well, and he doesn't seem like he fits very well here. But his tenaciousness, his bully ball, his effectiveness, his playmaking have won some people over. Taken Tomo says in the Flagrant Howls YouTube comment section, Minnesota Randle wasn't ever on my bingo card. Quickly became a jersey purchase, though. One of my favorite Timberwolves to play for us all time already, Julius Randle. Joshua Garcia says, Randle looks fit and energized and gelling and happy, and the best play of his career happening right now. I'm happy for him for sure. The Anthony Edwards effect is real. How much do you think Ant has had an impact on this version of Julius Randle?
A lot. Going back to before he started to play well, because I think Ant does a great job of incorporating his teammates and allowing them to know just how important they can be. And I mean, there's stories out there about what Ant was telling Julius when things might not have been going great, and they were all encouraging. And Julius look, dude's a good player, and we're seeing that now. But yeah, I mean, I think the Wolves can win a championship because I think they have the right person as their captain and their best player because he's a superstar as well. Yeah. But I think Ant has the ability, and I won't name names. I think there have been guys in Wolves history who have been good players or really good players, but not had this ability. I think Ant has the ability to lift players up and make them better and make them, Jaden. I think Ant does a great job there. Like there's a lot of guys. Look, the confidence that Anthony Edwards carries onto the floor is not the norm. Like there's a lot of guys. I know they're pro athletes and they're really good at what they do, but I think there's a lot of guys that question themselves, that get down, down in the dauber. Things don't go well. They spiral a little bit. And if you look at Ant, he doesn't really do that. And I think people see what he does and he's like, come with me. So I think when it comes to Julius, I think when it comes to Jaden, I think there's a lot of guys that the tide rises because Ant causes it to rise for them.
Yeah. Yep, he does. Yeah, he's got different like corners of his personality, but because he's not as much of a psychopath as like Kobe and Michael Jordan have come off as. But I think he has the same fire and want to dagger someone.
Yes, I agree.
But then he has this like fun, playful, joyful, even kind of immature side of his personality that maybe some of the more secondary superstars, the wacky kind of Dwight Howards, have had. But he puts it all together in one unique package.
Dwight Howard. Yeah, crazy. Exactly.
And then J-Rod 2135 chimes in along the Julius Randle praise and says, "This is BS. You clowns definitely hate Karl Anthony Towns. You are not serious and not objective." Speaking
of guys that didn't necessarily help their teammates rise up consistently, I was trying to think of a name there, but I forget what it was.
Yeah. So still, I mean, it doesn't have to be. Listen, praising Julius Randle doesn't have to be like a personal attack to you, J-Rod, about Karl Anthony Towns. So it sounds like you're projecting a little bit there, my guy. Watching the river flow chimes in here and says, "OMG, the Timberwolves are so much fun to follow. I've been following since the beginning and suffered through decades of crappy teams. Ant doesn't back down to anyone. It was fun seeing him spar with LeBron last year. Randle is also a player I love to watch. The Wolves have never had a player who could play bully ball better than Julius Randle. Not that that's the only thing he can do. Like Ant, he can do a lot of things. I think the players on this team genuinely like each other, and a lot of that is Ant being a good leader, physically and vocally."
Mm-hmm. I agree with that completely. I agree with that absolutely. I think, especially, again, because as far as the locker room stuff goes, he's not exactly an old guy. I think he does a really good job. And you know what's funny is, yeah, he's got a good personality, but I mean, I do think that we should never mistake the competitive fire. Like that dude wants to kill you on the floor. He might go about it in a different way than Kobe or Jordan did, but he wants that. Like he wants to dagger your ass, and a lot of times he does. So, yeah, I think he is. If there are things to criticize, I think they're far outweighed almost all of the time by the good he brings to the team and as a teammate.
Yeah, gonna dagger your ass.
He's gonna dagger your ass. I mean, he is not. He's messing around, but he ain't messing around. If you know,
bring your ass so I can dagger it. That's right. The Flagrant Howls Anonymous tip line has chimed in here.
Reckless.
I didn't even know it existed. Thought it closed down.
It's the Purple Daily Anonymous tip line has definitely been wide open for business for the last couple off seasons.
I thought the Flagrant Anonymous tip line had budget cuts. And closed down.
Well, they did
under
Glenn.
I think he's all right.
There was just a wail from upstairs, and Declan's like, "Hey, my kid."
He's okay.
Okay.
The Glenn Taylor era did some anonymous tip line budget cuts, but not we got Bloomberg money as a minority owner here now.
I got you. I hear you.
So I'm going to read this. It's more of a fun thing, but maybe there's some information. Maybe it's just a complete lie. But that is, listen, we'll vet these a little bit, but these are for entertainment purposes mostly. The anonymous tip line.
Love it.
Judd, SeatGeek, if you want tickets to an upcoming event, SeatGeek can be your place.
Absolutely can be. And I'm scrolling the SeatGeek app right now, and you talk about making things simple. So if you are trying to get tickets to a sporting event, to a concert, a comedy show, I've got sports here, I've got concerts here, and then I've got comedy show here. I did not know this. John Mulaney, who I think is hysterical,
yeah.
is actually going to be at the Armory from January 9th to the 11th, and tickets on sale on SeatGeek right now. So if you are looking for tickets, right now, if you are looking for tickets to get for, let's say, a holiday gift, how about that, boys? SeatGeek, go to the app, check it out, and if you use the code HOWLS10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek, use that code again. It's HOWLS10, 10% off any tickets with the promo code HOWLS10.
Hey, I got an idea for Wolves fans. If we get one more of these weeks where there's like no games for 4 days, that might be a good window for you to schedule your colonoscopy. From Minji Digestive Health, which is truly game-changing, a good colonoscopy because it helps detect disease at its earliest stage when it's most treatable and beatable. And it's the only test that can both detect and prevent colon cancer. So you might be thinking, it takes a long time. The prep sounds hard. Well, that's what's great about Minji is their colonoscopy prep uses a sports drink mixture that patients prefer, and the screening itself is quick and painless. So if you are 45 or older for sure, but even like if you're in your early 40s, it might be time to schedule a life-changing or life-saving, game-changing colonoscopy at mngi.com. That's minji.com, mngi.com. Okay. From the tip line.
Reckless speculation.
Again, okay. This is entertainment purposes mostly, we think. Or is it? Anonymous sends a note into Flagrant Howls and says, I'd like to submit something to the Flagrant Howls anonymous tip line. Although it doesn't really bother me if it's anonymous or not. I work downtown, and today one of my coworkers ran into Tim Connelly at a coffee shop in the Skyway, Minneapolis.
Nice.
My friend even showed me the selfies he took with Tim as proof that, hey, I'm not making this up. This is my guy, old Timmy Connelly.
Old Timmy.
While they were ordering coffee, he had a brief chance to talk to Tim. And my coworker straight up asked Tim Connelly if he was going to trade for Ja Morant. And Tim Connelly told my buddy, maybe.
Reckless speculation.
He also asked Tim if he would consider trading Rudy Gobert. And Tim responded with a quick and firm no. Not considering trading Rudy Gobert. Use this information how you want, and feel free to recklessly speculate. Thanks for the great content every day. Flagrant Howls.
Reckless speculation.
What do you make of this Purple Daily, Flagrant Howls, I should say, anonymous tip line note?
So I totally buy it because what was the note we got? Was it last season somebody saw Conley at a downtown establishment?
Yeah, they were asking him
to
questions.
Yeah, and like it got shared. So first of all, if you want Wolves information, forget the news sources, forget Flagrant Howls, just go hang downtown and
go to a coffee shop and ask him yourself.
Tim Connelly is like scarce as hell, right? Like I don't think he talks to reporters on any type of regular basis. So, but Tim Connelly at coffee shops is just an open book.
Yeah.
I buy it. I totally buy it.
And there was a report, too, that it was from Sam Amick from The Athletic last week that they are monitoring the Ja Morant situation. And it's just they continue to lose games. Ja Morant, his last two games, 3 for 18 in a 14-point loss at home to Oklahoma City. They gave up 133 in a loss at Madison Square Garden earlier this week. He went 4 for 14, 8 turnovers. He just is... It's a disaster there. I still don't think he's such a high usage player, and he's one of those really low shooting percentage guys too. Like on the season, Ja Morant is shooting 35%. He doesn't get to the rim as often. He's settling for more threes. So I don't love him as a player. Mm-hmm. But do I believe that trading Tim Connelly is keeping an eye on things? Yes. I actually think that there's truth in his distinction, these two answers. Would you consider trading for Ja? Yeah, I'll consider doing anything. Would you consider trading Rudy? Firm no, despite what fans might want from him, because Rudy is still the backbone of this defense.
And I think once Gobert agreed to the reworked or new contract, I think that bought him the rest of his time here.
Oh, like the whole 3 years, you think?
a good portion because I think from a financial standpoint, if you were to be a mathematician, which I am not, and crunch the apron ramifications, I think it's probably a very friendly contract at the end of the day and allows them to operate as they want. Phil, what do you think the market for Ja ultimately will be?
Well, he's kind of sabotaging it
Yeah.
in the last month and a half, even more than it already would have been. He's already got like some of the suspension, just immature behavior, gun stuff that brings his value down. He's got the durability stuff that brings the value down because he's not anywhere near like an 80 games guy. And then you add in his general game on the court eroding as an efficient scorer, as a guy that gets to the rim. So, we see some of these big blockbuster trades that send 3 or 4 first-round picks and then pick swaps and all this stuff. I don't think we're talking about that with this version of Ja. This isn't like a 2 years ago, 3 years ago version of Ja Morant where you thought maybe he's going to be in the MVP conversation at some point. I don't think he's one of the 50 best players in the league right now, and I don't know if he's one of the 70 best players. Though this version of him, the name Ja Morant speaks loudly, but the actual player right now, I think Memphis would be trading him for like 50 cents on the dollar at best from what his peak was a couple years ago.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious, like, if they take this up to the deadline, what the bidding would be. Now, my other question, though, is because it's going so badly and it's clearly turned toxic, does this become a Jimmy Butler situation where, like, in a week he just gets traded?
Yeah. Actually, I could see the Miami Heat. Miami Heat would be a great little.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're always willing to open their arms to some B-leaguer superstar. Jimmy's gone from there, so they might.
Miami might not be the best place for Ja. I'm just going to say that.
You might be right. So, all right, there's your Feedback Friday here on Flagrant Howls and your Flagrant Howls anonymous tip line.
Reckless speculation.
Hey, if you run into Tim Connelly
which
at
you
a
might.
coffee shop at Hot Yoga in Minneapolis, you send us that note so that the public can understand what's happening.
A Subway, a steakhouse, a Jimmy John's. You never know where Timmy's going to show up.
You don't. All right, for Dex, for the Sports Dad, I'm Phil. Enjoy your Wolves watching weekend. This is a Wolves lifestyle podcast here, Flagrant Howls.